My name is Amy Anderson. I'm the co-founder and executive director of RESCHOOL, based in Colorado.
So, Amy, tell us about how you first got interested in this whole area of what I've been calling unconventional education, stuff outside the traditional classroom.
Well, I would say that the roots of it go back to my earliest days in education, to be quite honest. I started my career in Minnesota in the early 90s when the first charter school law had passed, and I worked for the people who passed that law. And until that time, I didn't even know that it was possible for a group of teachers who, passed the law in Minnesota to actually come together and influence policy in a way that had an impact on changing the system. And so that opened my eyes to this idea that the system isn't what it doesn't have to be what it always is, that there are ways that you can innovate and band together with a group of people who are passionate about something and make real lasting change. And at that time, the model that I was working with and for was called community learning centers. And it was very much grounded in this idea that education takes place in a community and not just in a school. And so, kind of everything I've done since that time, whether it be working with them, starting the Odyssey School in Denver, which was an expeditionary learning school, which also brought kids out into the community for much of learning, to now at Reschool, which is the idea that we need an expansive education system where learning happens everywhere and all kids need to have equitable access to that system. And it takes real care and nurturing to make sure that happens. So I'd say it's been a common strand throughout my career. The idea of really leaning into this out of school time and out of school learning has been has started really to take shape when we shadowed families in the early days of Reschool. And r the reality was that even when kids go to school, it's only a small fraction of their overall time that they're awake in the world each year. And 80% of the time they're outside of school. And so we need to think more purposefully about how kids access and spend that time.
So, say a little bit more about the importance of that out of school time for kids' education now, but also looking into the future.
We're working on a project right now that's called Mapping Real World Learning. And the main reason we're focusing on this is we know anecdotally from this last decade plus, Reschool has been providing learning dollars and the support of learner advocates and other resources so that families can access learning experiences for their children wherever they need them. And one of the things that we haven't been able to do is really capture what are the competencies, what's the value and the knowledge and the skills and the meaning that bring those experiences are bringing to those youth, and how does that build over time into pathways that are purposeful for them, and how do they articulate that to those who are their future employers or their, whatever, their future education opportunities that they want to pursue. We know they can tell the story of how having this experience unlocked this interest that led to them pursuing this idea or got them into a performing arts school or got them interested in something that they ended up doing for the rest of their lives. Like we have some of those stories now, but what we really want to do is be able to articulate better and share with others how you capture those competency skills, knowledge, and habits, and what value that brings to them. So I think, that with the learning that they're doing outside of school, it's where they're building their social networks. It's where they're getting exposed to things and to experiences they might not otherwise have access to. It opens their world in different ways. It brings the peers across different geographies and communities that might not otherwise meet, and it's really powerful to who they become as people, and it certainly has shaped who I've become as a person, the experiences I've had outside of school.
So, talk a little bit about this idea of direct to family funding. What do you see as the future evolution of direct to family funding, and what do you hope it will be?
I'm in Colorado, where we're the only state right now that's a blue state leaning that has opted into the school choice tax credit that the federal government is going to be issuing starting in 2027. And the main reason our state has opted in is because we see it as an opportunity for all kids, public school kids, as well as kids who want to choose to go to private school or any kind of a hybrid model in between. And why I think that is important is that families, when they have the resources and the knowledge and the information they need, they know what their kids need by and large. What they don't always have is the resources to activate and to act on those needs. And when they do, they're making informed decisions in the best interest of their kids. In our model, if they need extra support or coaching or guidance, then they can turn to a learner advocate or a navigator or promotora or somebody along those lines who can be that partner with them in making those decisions. But when families have the resources, they feel empowered to act, in ways that matter. And we found that families will be very thoughtful about how they spend those resources, because they really want to make sure it makes a difference in the future of their kids' lives. And we've had no, incidences of fraud, like it's really important. And I do believe that the way our education system is evolving, that we are seeing many more choices that families have now. And they're going to be making those choices. And there needs to be resources that go along with the choices that they're making, and supports and services. And so I don't think we're going back to some kind of a system where everything is going to be controlled by one centralized authority. I think it's going to be quite the opposite, where it's going to be more decentralized, some hybrid versions. And yet, we've also really seen that the communities that we work with most closely are still very much wanting to go to a school for a good chunk of their day. It's not like school is being thrown out altogether. School is an important place where kids have community, they learn, they build skills and knowledge, and yet that's not enough, just having a school and a classroom and a place they go. It needs to be more. And with that, we need resources to go with it.